Okay, let me prop up in my chair, man. I got to get myself situated. But we are here, JV Wins, Dogon SS, Conscious Approach, live stream number, fill in the blank. I still need to do that count. I don't know how many live streams we've done, but as soon as I sit down and do that count, I'm going to announce it at the top of every broadcast. But shouts out to everybody who's tuning in, man. We are here, as always, kicking that logical content, Conscious Approach on YouTube. Thanks to all of the supporters. Thanks to everybody who's been subscribing to the channel, following along, watching the videos. We most certainly appreciate you. Shouts out to the Denver Nuggets, man. Doing right, doing right in the world. Establishing order and balance by dispatching the Lakers for the second year in a row. Very happy with that outcome. Glad that those guys got their ass sent home. So thanks to the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets versus the Timberwolves in the next round should be pretty exciting. I'll be watching. They talk about how, casual fans may not be too interested, but I'll be watching because that is going to be pretty exciting. Should be a pretty good series. So shouts out to the Denver Nuggets and shouts out to everybody who's been subscribing to the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube, man. We certainly appreciate you. With that out of the way, we are going to go ahead and get started with tonight's commentary. First thing that we are going to touch on is Adrien Broner. Anybody who follows MMA, Adrien Broner is big on the MMA/boxing scene, or at least he was. He's kind of old news at this point. He's known more for being a viral content person nowadays, just kind of going live on Instagram and various other places just to kind of expound on whatever it is that he wants to talk about, whatever he may be feeling at the time. And it just so happened that he recently had to get on his phone to talk about how the price for what's a good way to say this, to ensure that YouTube doesn't deprioritize this video. He is disenchanted with how expensive it has become to be in the company of a woman these days. So he is so disenchanted by this that he hopped on to it looks like he went on Instagram or something. I don't know what he was on, but the video went semi-viral, picked it up on WorldStar. And he's just saying that, hey man, these prices for these women nowadays are too high. And they've become so high and outrageous, in fact, that it's almost like you should be able to claim them on your taxes. So Adrien Broner, man, he's been known to be a flamethrower on the internet and social media from time to time. I would say that this is no different. This is content that is within the wheelhouse, certainly, of what we like to talk about on this channel. Very, very short clip here, not very long, about 30 seconds or so, where Broner is kind of briefly expounding on what he feels has become a bit too expensive of an aspect of his life, I guess. Paying for women, paying to be with women has become too expensive. So we'll go ahead and play this clip, and then we'll, of course, give our 2 cents on what Broner had to say once it is over.
And I woke up disappointed, because pussy is at an all-time high right now, bro. The prices that these bitches is giving out is crazy, bro. After a year for paying for pussy, you got to be able to take this shit off on taxes, because these bitches are getting crazy.
So he's not with it, man. These prices are getting crazy. After a year doing it, you should be able to claim them. I have a few thoughts on this. A lot of this for me has just become straight up confusion. Quite frankly, I just don't understand this anymore. But I'll let you give your initial thoughts on how you feel about the state of affairs and what Broner had to say about the price for box being just simply too high nowadays.
Uh, it's I'm with you in the fact that it's a bit confusing, especially for somebody that's in the world that he's in. The type of money he's touched over his career. I would assume that he would leverage that money, notoriety, and status to acquire a woman on normal standards. An everyday woman or a celebrity chick that you're just wifing down. The fact that these guys are paying, at least from the Zion example, 20K a pop. Uh, I mean, this is outrageous numbers. Yeah, of course. And if you're paying, over the year, you got her on a on retainer, and so you're paying monthly stipends so she can slide through. That adds up as well. So yeah, I would assume that after 12 months you would say that, hey man, I shelled out, half a million in some cases. I would assume 300,000 in some cases. For one female over the course of the year. Yeah, you might want to write that off. So I get where he's coming from in aspect of, where is all my money going? But uh, let me at least put this as a deductible. You know, so I get that aspect, but no, I think you deserve to throw that money in the black hole, no pun intended, into that portal where you don't deserve to get that money back or claim it or any of that. Um, this is part of the game, I would say. So if you want to participate and you want to play and live in that world, yeah, you got to pay the cost. And right now, yeah, vagina's at an all-time high. I mean, inflation's it's crazy. I've seen some TikTok videos where people are just doing casual shopping at certain locations and things like tweezers and fingernail clippers, at convenience store locations type thing, but not at a major chain, but still just outrageous. $16, $17, $20 for tweezers. So you're looking at these girls who get BBLs, and this is the type of women he's dealing with. So the ones that get BBLs, the ones that get all kinds of cosmetic things done to them and their hair and all of this other stuff. They want to go on trips. They want to go to Dubai. They want to do all of that, and all of that costs. And so the price of everything's gone up. So their premium has gone up. So something has to give. But it sounds like he doesn't sound like he wants to give up the lifestyle. It sounds like he just wants a break. I think the message here is for him to give up the lifestyle, but I don't think he's quite received that yet, at least. So those are just initial thoughts, man. I'm charging it to the game for this guy and anybody else that wants to play it. What are your thoughts on Mr. Broner upset that the cost of cat has gone way too high?
Do you think that he has the ability to, and I'm going to beat a dead horse because I'm going to bring up things that I've said before, but do you think that he has the ability to get women without having to literally pay for it like it's a transaction at a store?
Nah, he lame, bro. Like, he got to pay. Listen, man. So, hey, when you got sauce, you get it for free. And so this dude here, I mean, if it's gotten to the point where he's in his bed after spending 20, 30,000 last night, going, man, the price for this is going too much. Nah, bro, you just lame. So that's what I got to say to that.
Yeah, what I don't understand, like, so is there a correlation between being a celebrity entertainer, pro athlete person with money and being lame? Is there a correlation between those two things?
Hey,
Because
bro.
what I'm get I know what I'm getting at is this seems to be the norm.
Mhm.
Based on the stories that we've covered on this channel and many more of the stories that we know of that we have not talked about on this channel, either my interpretation of the way things are supposed to go when you actualize in life and make it to the top has been wrong. So either it's one of two things.
Mhm.
Either these guys are getting to this point, but there's direct correlation between their level of success and being inherently lame, or two, everything that I've always thought in life was supposed to come as a result of success, I've had the wrong interpretation on that.
No, 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 no.
because my what I've always believed growing up was you work hard, you put in the work, you become successful, and then you reap certain benefits as a result of the hard work that you put in. If you're a guy, one of those benefits that you're able to reap because you've been able to self-actualize, fortunately for you, one of those benefits is going to be women. Women from the standpoint that I can get whatever woman I want without it having to be a direct transaction, as if I'm going to the mall to buy a new suit. Like, this isn't the same because one of the specious arguments that people will make when it comes to this stuff is, well, you always pay for it. You take a woman out on a date, right? You buy her gifts, right? You do this, you do that. Well, you're paying for it. Listen, let's all be reasonable when it comes to this conversation. We know that there is a difference between that and what Broner is talking about. What Broner is talking about is literal transactions. What Broner is talking about is literally, I went to the cat house and made my selections and paid my and swiped my credit card. And that's how I get down these days. And what's frustrating with me with these guys is what I don't understand is me being broke boy, and I'm not literally broke, I'm just saying, generally speaking, me being a broke boy who hasn't earned the right to operate in those ways and move in those circles, maybe I should be the one who's so lame and down and out that I got to pay for it. I'm a broke boy. I'm not successful. I'm anonymous. If I've gotten to the point where I've self actualized and I'm in the top 10%, and I don't know what Broner's net worth is, but I'm just saying it's way more than the average person for sure. If I've gotten to the point where I've self actualized and I've made it to a certain pinnacle of success and I'm able to reap all of these benefits in life, I shouldn't be moving in ways that intrinsically tell that ways in which intrinsically I believe someone in my position should be moving. I always thought that when I reach the point of success, the women come to me. I don't have to put in work or do anything. I can just get it off a GP straight up.
You would
But
think.
you would think, right? But apparently, I have had the wrong interpretation on that this whole time. And apparently, the way it goes is you work hard, you become successful, you reach a point of self actualization, and you start to actually pay to be in the company of women. And that to me is some sad shit. Like, these guys don't have to do this. They don't have to. Zion doesn't have to be paying $20,000 a month to slay a chick who makes adult films. He doesn't have to. Now, his culture may have impressed upon him that that's what he should be doing, but it didn't have to be that way. He didn't have to be doing that. These other guys who are living like this, you don't have to do that. Perhaps it's a matter of convenience, but my overall point is you're a star and a rich man. You can get boxed for convenience without having to actually be transactional. You could if you just put in minimal effort. It seems like that is just gone. The element of that has completely disappeared. And what we are seeing is it is completely and utterly transactional in all facets, whether you're successful or not. And the people at the top are setting the market for this stuff. So why shouldn't the women acquiesce? I don't blame the women at all. The women are just saying, hey, if that's what you're giving out, then we'll take it. If you don't give it out, then they'll have to adjust. But they're giving it out. So I just don't get it. I don't get it. Am I destined as someone who fully believes that at some point within the next 5 to 10 years, there's a decent enough chance that with the hard work that I'm put in, I can start to approach top 10% status? If I just so happen to still be single by the time that this actually happens, am I destined to be someone who is actually going to have to literally pay to be in the company of women? As if I was going to the store to buy, as if I was going to a car dealership to buy a new car. I'm serious. Now, am I going to be in that situation? No, because I have lived my life for almost 40 years having to work, to having to work, put in the work, having to develop and work on my social skills. so that I can actually be appealing to women. I've had to work and be in the gym so that physically I can be at a position where I feel that I am at my utmost confidence level to be able to appeal to women as best I can. So I've been living this way for so long, money is not going to take that out of me. So if we're talking about me personally, no, I don't see that in my future. But this isn't about me. I'm just one individual. It's about everybody else, and it's about the way that these course of actions appear to be going in. And what it seems to me is the harder you work, the more you have to pay for this. When I always thought it was the reverse. I always thought the harder you work and the more successful you become, the easier this is and the less you have to pay. Leave it up to guys like me to have to beg for it with money because I'm a broke boy. You self-actualize. You shouldn't have to do that. I feel like there's a part of it, in terms of core values. I really do feel like that's the way it should go, but it's actually flipped and it goes in the opposite direction. I don't get it, man. This to me is weird, goofy stuff. I can't even call it new human behavior because this is just the wave. 40, 50, 60-year-old men who have made it to the pinnacle of success are moving in this way. And they're approaching women. It's not like they're looking at women who are escorts or strippers or chicks who make adult films or chicks who do OnlyFans. And they're saying, hey, I'll pay for it. They're just generally approaching how they go about retaining the company of women, period, in life, from the standpoint of how much is this going to cost me. Not from the standpoint I'm willing to take you out on dates or pay for gifts, but literally how much do you cost? Like they're a literal good and service. Mm-hmm. So weirdo times that we are living in for sure. Personally, I don't understand it. I've always thought that the more successful I become, the easier it is and the cheaper it is because I'm me. I don't have to pay. Like in this equation, you're benefiting off of being with me because I'm me. So who stands to gain more from this? You're with me. So really, you should be paying me. Not the other way around, because I'm the one who's actually self-actualized here. You're just another dime a dozen woman who looks good, probably with a surgically enhanced body. So when we factor in this equation, when we put this equation into the SPSS formula system, it's coming out with me being like the greater prize here and you being the beneficiary. I'm not the beneficiary, you are. I'm the star. But these guys don't seem to see it that way. They don't seem to see it that way. I don't understand it. It bewilders me. It really does. And I often talk about the trickle-down effect because I really do feel like the more and more things like this become normalized, the more that everyday women are walking around with a literal price tag attached to them. Mm-hmm. That's what makes me nervous. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom and suggest that that's happening on a wide scale, but I am also suggesting it will at some point be what is happening on a wide scale. So I just don't get it. But it couldn't be me. I couldn't be a millionaire paying a woman to be with me. If anything, you're going to be paying me because you're benefiting from this more than I am. I'm the one who has self-actualized, and you are merely just the woman who gets to sleep with me. But I guess I look at life a bit too practically. So maybe I'm the fool for that.
Well, I mean, a person's self-image is developed at a young age, and whatever they thought of themselves at that young age, it does a good job of reminding that individual of that all the time. And so people grow up, if they grew up a duck, a lame or something like that, he probably internalizes the fact that, oh, I'm a duck, I'm a lame, I have to prove myself. I'm a duck, I'm a lame, I got to prove myself. And the thing is with Broner, he got into boxing, that was a nice little chip on the shoulder. I mean, not chip on the shoulder, but like a good, good esteem type of thing. You would figure somebody that knows how to whoop people ass, he would carry himself with a lot more self-confidence. But people's internal thoughts, you never know what they have going on. And he has done a number of lame things throughout his entire career. He's a person that I've heard more of his antics than any of his fights.
Yes.
Like you said, he's always going viral and all this other stuff. He's a weird person. And so he grew up weird, and he just so happened to box. So him boxing and getting confidence in that zone, I don't think that actually helped that lameness that he had before he actually got into boxing. And so he carries that lamery with him throughout his whole life, while he goes viral for other things and lame things. And so this one, no different. You don't look clean by saying this, bro. You don't seem like a baller. You don't seem like somebody that's out here crushing it in life when you're literally laying in the bed. Pretty much, you spent something with a comment in it last night, and you feeling like a duck. And so you decide to air it out, try to make it funny or something, talking about writing it off on your taxes. But that pain that you felt, you had to let people know. And that's the downside of living such a life. Those girls vampirically, take your money, take your seed, even if it's in a condom, you're wasting it. So take your money, take your seed, and then vanish. No emotional attachment. All that laughing and kikiing before it actually went down and ended immediately as soon as you finish busting, and she's out of there. You could pay extra for her to spend the night. But in the morning she's gone. She ain't gonna make you breakfast, bruh. If you do, you're gonna have to pay for that. Yeah. So how lame can it be? So that and how I don't care how much money you got and how big her rear end is. It's not worth it. And so that pain that he felt, he had to go live. He had to let his constituents know that, hey man, the price for this vagina is getting too much before I can spend this money and feel no type of way about it. But again, the economy is catching everybody. And so he's not getting the bang for his buck anymore. This used to be like, satisfying that itch.
Yeah.
But it's not satisfying that itch no more.
Yeah, it's like the bag of potato chips. They used to fill the bag all the way up to the top. Now when you go to the store, you're paying $5 more and you're getting half a bag of chips.
Yeah, you getting
it sounds like he's upset because now he's only getting a half a bag of chips.
Yeah, he's not. He didn't care because the chips were so affordable back then. He would just buy chips, and I don't care that these bags aren't filling. But now it's like, hey man, I gotta spend this money, and I just I spent this much on a bag of chips, and ain't that much in here. It's like, yeah, it never was. There was nothing in those chips. But then now you're paying for it. Now that tag is higher. Now you're thinking about this, like, what's really in these bags? Nothing.
Yeah.
And that, so that's your fault for going down that rabbit hole and deciding to go grocery shopping in a convenience store. That's your fault, bro. At the corner stores at damn 7-Eleven trying to find you a wife, And so bro, you're not going to get a wholesome meal there. So yeah, man. So he's feeling the pain, man. It hit him, no pun intended for this guy. But he really felt like, damn, what part of the game is this? But yeah, man, nothing can replace lameness, man. And so we've seen, bro, in the case of the Meek Mills and whoever else, even that you're on, you got status. Like literally, bro, they have women DMing them super bad too, but they're just not no IG model. She's really like a raw stone that has been yet to been refined. But give that girl in that DM the same type of whatever treatment these dudes are into, and she'll pop out just as bad as the girl with 100,000 followers. But they don't see it that way. And they rather, that's the part about it I don't get. What is it, a status thing? Oh, I smashed her too. Like, oh yeah, why do they want these Insta women's? It's super confusing. It's very confusing. I just think it's a lame thing. So it's best for me to just write it off at that than me to try to get in the mind of a lame. So hey man, best of luck to you, Mr. Adrien, man. He's a weird dude anyway, man. At least he was paying for vagina. This guy's got some sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I guess if there's a consolation prize, at least it's vagina. At least it's vagina that he's paying for. I guess that's a good consolation prize. I just don't understand it, man. This is going to be one of those things that until the end of time, I'm just confused by. But I also grew up having to develop adequate social skills. I didn't grow up tunnel. And maybe he grew up tunnel. He never had to do it, Tiger Woods style, you
Mhm.
know. But at least with Tiger, like what Tiger was doing was Tiger was just saying, "Oh, here's this cocktail waitress or this server chick or this flight attendant. They used to call them stewardesses. Oh, let me get this woman off of me being Tiger Woods, and it is what it is." Broner is literally paying for women,
Yeah.
like he's going to a car dealership and paying and buying a car, and he and there are many other like him in that same position who really do view their relation to women as in a manner of a transaction, to the point where it's literally like a woman has a price tag. And like I said before, as vampirically as these women operate, they're also not idiots. If a guy is willing to pay them $50,000 just to spread eagle, they're not going to think twice about that. This thing is becoming common practice.
Yeah.
It's just you don't have to do it. Like the tone of his voice in that video, his frustration over how much it costs, suggests to me that to him, if he were to have it his way, it wouldn't cost as much.
Right.
And my response to that is, bro, you don't have to be paying any of it. You don't. Whether he realizes it or not, he doesn't have to be paying any of it. And it just seems like there's no modicum of success that can show these guys that the balance of power that they are throwing completely off whack by attaching these ridiculous monetary values to these women's boxes is really throwing off it's throwing off the balance of power when it comes to men and women. It really is. And you are inordinately placing a ridiculous valuation on something that shouldn't be as expensive as you're making it. And in the process of doing that, you're making it worse for all the rest of the men in the world. That's what people like him need to understand. But, guys like that don't get it, because if they got it, they're going to keep spending it. So him, Zion, everybody else, James Harden, they don't give a damn. They can keep spending it, not knowing how much they are devaluing their own worth by doing this on a regular basis. It really is sad. And it perpetuates the notion of men becoming increasingly weak over time. It does. And we are. We look like weak slaves to vagina. I say it all the time. Not that I love vagina. I love it. I appreciate it every day I wake up. Every day I wake up in the morning, I get on my knees and I thank the Lord for the existence of vagina. Every day I wake
get a shirt
every,
like that.
yeah, every day in the morning, I wake up, I get on my knees and I thank the Lord that vagina exists. But I am also not going to place an inordinate valuation on it, juxtaposed to who I am as a human. They don't deserve it, nor do I deserve to devalue myself that way. And these
Correct.
guys out here are constantly devaluing themselves, and they wonder why the women don't respect them. That's why, bro. Why should they? All you care about is spending the money. There's no respect that comes with that. This is a transaction. It's business. I don't need to respect you in business. I just need to know how much you're willing to pay. So I personally hate this with a passion. I don't hate Broner because he's just a product of whatever weirdo environment he comes from. But I hate this whole dynamic. I despise it because it is becoming increasingly more pervasive. And the concern that I have is that over time we are going to start seeing pretty much all women, because I already hear it. Like I already hear, women in proximity to me. It doesn't matter where, if I go to any social place, I go to a bar. I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff that I just don't react to because I can hear it. I've heard women talking in public venues, bars, clubs, lounges, wherever I might be, professional sporting events. And I hear these chicks talking about how much they cost. And so there is a trickle down effect that is occurring with this kind of thought process. And idiots like Broner set the tone for that. And that's what makes it so disappointing because men are supposed to be leading this operation rather than following spending money. And that's what we got going on.
Hey man, just find you one that, and this is for everybody, man. If you still out there in the market, and because yeah, you're right, there is a trickle down effect where there's a worth attached to their vagina. So, it's the amount of dates or how much you spent on a date, like that stuff's getting factored into some type of formula, some equation for them to, let you smash in X amount of days or what. I don't know what's going on right now. It's a little weird out there. And so, but just fellas, man, just get you somebody that's not in the matrix. They don't subscribe. Yeah, they don't subscribe to the matrix. Like they can see this too, basically. They're a real person. They're not trying to follow the Joneses or trying to do what everybody else do. It's too much people getting caught up in the aesthetics of things. And if you find yourself self with, interacting with somebody that's caught up in the aesthetics, next month when they start jumping off a bridge, she gonna start talking like that. She ain't gonna say let's jump, but she gonna try to introduce. Hey, you ever heard of that bridge over there on damn, bro, you really going for this too? Like, it's like, yeah, you met her when she was on trends. She's gonna catch on to the new trends that's catching on while y'all together. So you're best off by dealing with somebody that's not in the matrix at all. They can see it with the they live lenses as you, and you just call it out and go, hey man, this, I got me one that understands the dynamics. Now we can get to business. Now the hard part really starts, But if you can't even get over that hump, you dealing with somebody that's caught up in the Joneses wins, then your relationship can go any type of direction. So yeah, man, I agree, man. It's a trickle down effect, but just get you somebody that's not in the matrix.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yo, shouts out to Dudley, man. Dudley said, "Bro can't be mad at the cost of V when he is one of the ones that set the market." Yes,
Yeah,
that is correct.
absolutely.
That does make you look. It makes you look a bit like a fool for sure.
Yeah, he's pumping up the market, the
He
artificial
is.
pump. Yeah, he's
He
part of
is. Yes, he is. He's flooding the street. He's flooding the streets with stepped on product. That's what he's doing.
it.
Um, I've never had an issue with general proceedings. You know what I'm saying? I drop money if I got to spend a couple $100 on a nice dinner. I'm saying we're enjoying each other's companies, but there's a level of humanity that comes along with that kind of general proceeding. But when you just cut everything out and you skip straight to the transaction of it all, there's no humanity there. And without humanity, there's no respect. And without respect, what do you got? You're just paying to be able to skeet off for one night, and then you're gonna have to pay again, and then pay again, and then pay again. I mean, good luck, bro. I can't stand it. So I am not going to shout out Broner for the content as much as I appreciate having the content because he doesn't deserve the shout out. He deserves to go to therapy and understand his worth so that he can realize that he does not have to pay to be in the company of women.
Facts. Hey, don't promote this part of the game, bro. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be trying to get right out here. You out here promoting the foolishness. So you could take a hike, Mr. Adrien. We're not buying that here.
Yeah. You need to go sit down, sir. You really do. We do not endorse that here on Conscious Approach.
I know he paid too.
Speaking of what we endorse, the Donald Trump amidst his legal situations is going full steam ahead with planning to win back the presidency come this fall. When do they do this thing? In November?
Yeah.
And apparently he is coming up with a plan to attract the black vote. And what's that plan? Surprise! He is looking to partner with hip hop stars and pro athletes. What a surprise. I am shocked to hear that anybody in politics has a strategy of attracting black people by going after pro athletes, which I'm assuming is going to be basketball players and football players, as well as rappers. Why am I not surprised? Usually we hear about this stuff on the other side with the Democrats, with the DNC. But here we have Trump saying, oh, this is how I'm going to get these people. Watch me go. We are partnering with all kinds of people behind the scenes, and wait till you see what we got rolling out for y'all. So, for a little context here, this says Donald Trump hopes to secure Black and Latino votes with hip hop and athlete endorsements at Madison Square Garden event. Donald Trump reportedly wants to hold a massive campaign event at Madison Square Garden in New York City featuring Black hip hop artists and athletes. According to a new report from the Associated Press, the former president of the United States hopes the move can help him earn key votes from Black and Latino Americans that could push him over the edge in this year's election. Lynn Patton, a senior advisor on the campaign overseeing coalitions, says the Trump team is laying the groundwork for an expansive outreach toward minority voters. We are speaking with Black leaders. We are speaking with small business owners. We're speaking with famous athletes, hip hop artists, some of whom I think you'd be surprised if you knew who was talking with us right now, she said in an interview, according to the AP. These are people who are expressing openness to supporting President Trump both publicly and privately. I'm not exactly sure what privately means or what value that is, but okay. Plenty of artists in hip hop have voiced support for Donald Trump over the years, including Kanye West, Kodak Black, as well as Lil Pump and more. Former President Barack Obama theorized why some rappers support Trump during an interview with The Atlantic in 2022. At the time, he previously suggested that for some artists in the genre, it's all about the bling, the women, the money. A lot of rap videos are using the same measures of what it means to be successful as Donald Trump is. Everything is gold plated. That insinuates itself and seeps into the culture. Jasmine Harris, who works as Joe Biden's campaign director of Black media, labeled Trump a fraud. In response to the report, Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans proudly admitting that they have no real strategy to reach Black voters because they believe all they need is rap concerts and free chicken is only surprising if you haven't paid attention to Trump's fraudulent relationship to Black America for years, they told the AP. Be on the lookout for further updates on Donald Trump, blah, 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 blah. So, I would say that this is Donald Trump's attempt to use the Democrat strategy to his benefit. But I'll let you speak for yourself. What do you think about this plan to get in bed with hip hop artists and pro athletes to try and appeal to Black and Latino voters for the Orange Man?
I think it'll work. I think it'll do what it does. I think it's a brilliant strategy. I feel like this is my problem with the Republican Party is that they don't pander enough. And everybody knows this is pandering, but it works. So just do it. So I like it. Is it a slap in the face of Black people? You know, people that are out here that really want to change and all this other stuff. Is it a slap in our face to think that this is all we are? It is. But as you mentioned, the Democrats do it too. And they've been doing it for years. So what's the big deal now? You know, and I think it's because Orange Man. And I think, and because he's pulling this, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of backlash for the people that show up to this performance or any of the people that support him in secret. So, so there's going to be backlash for this. But I'm here for it all. I enjoy, and this is why I enjoy Trump so much, is because this is entertaining politics. Like he's built a character of a bigoted person, and for him to be doing these things where you still have this reputation of being a bigot, it's like an insult. Yes, it's such an insult. It's like, what is this? But that's the part about it that's funny to me. I like this. So, you know, me, I'm a person that, you know, don't really get into politics like that. I look at it as a horse and pony show, the horse and pony show that it is. And so if it's a good show, I'm going to be sitting there laughing with popcorn. And so Trump to me is good TV. And to me, this is good humor. So I would like to see this happen. I would like to see some prominent artists out there. I want to hear the backlash. Like I want all of this. So
Mhm.
I'm here for it. So what are your thoughts on Sir Trump leaning into hip hop and sports to get black and Latinos to vote?
Why not? I say why not. Um, you know, I don't know how smart he actually is. I don't know him. I don't know any of these individuals. I don't know how smart any of these people are. I know a lot of y'all think that y'all know how smart these people are. You don't. Um, these individuals have speechwriters, publicists, PR people, strategists, chief of staffs. They've got, communications directors, marketers, managers. They have entire operations behind them pulling the strings. You don't actually know how smart these people are. So just taking Donald Trump out of it because he's a lightning rod, you can say what you want about him or his candidacy. What I think is difficult to disagree with is he probably has smart people working for him. I would imagine he has smart people working for him. And what I think the smart people working for him are starting to kind of get a sense of is I think they're starting to get a sense, and I think this as well. So maybe this is my own personal belief speaking for me.
Mhm.
But I think they're looking around and they're saying, a lot of people do not really like the country the direction that this country is headed socially. I think the people who work for him, they may conduct private focus groups. I don't know what they got going on, but I think that there is some intel that is informing them on the belief that there are more people than we care to realize who do not like the general direction that this country is headed in, especially socially. And a lot of the people who feel that way are people who historically have probably always supported the other side. But the thing is, black and Latino voters, for the most part, not even all Latinos, because if you come down here to South Florida, it's a lot of Latinos that don't do things the way you would traditionally think minorities did them. They go the other way. They go red a lot. So I don't even think it's all Latinos, but I think a lot of people have always historically thought of like black and Latino voters as supporting Democrats because Democrats support disenfranchised people. And so I think a lot of those people are now starting to privately say, I don't really like the direction that this place is going in, especially socially. But they don't want to do that publicly because they don't want to risk being ostracized by their own community, because
Mhm.
the collective of their own communities dictates that you have to continue to support the blues because the blues are always what's best for us, even though historically the blues have been involved in things that have not always supported disenfranchised people. And disenfranchised people statistically is largely black people and Hispanic people. So, when you do your own research and you look into some of this stuff, and you learn that, like, three strikes, for example, implemented in 1993, California passed its own three strikes law in 1994. That's just one example. Three strikes, I don't think anybody would disagree that that was a policy that disproportionately contributed to putting a lot of these people in prison. And that was a policy that was enacted during a Democratic president. That was enacted during a Democratic administration. Same thing with stop and frisk. Stop and frisk came along, in 1964. New York State passed a law in 1964 making stop and frisk constitutional. They started enacting it widespread in 1968. During that span of time, it was a Democratic administration under LBJ. So my point is, historically, this idea that everything that the blues have done has been for these people is a bit of a fallacy if you look into it. What the blues have been effective at is giving us a lot of free stuff that encourage a lack of accountability and poor work ethic, in my opinion. But be that as it may, I just bring that up to say I'm not trying to go down a political rabbit hole. I'll bring that up to say I get the general sense that the people working for Orange Man probably sense that a lot of people who have always been on that other side are on the fence. and they don't like the way that this country is headed socially, the social construction of it being so crazy and chaotic and anarchaic. They feel some type of way about that. And maybe we can sway a lot of them over to how we want, sway a lot of them over to our side. And what's an effective way to sway a lot of them over to our side? Well, let's do the same thing that the Dems always did. Let's just juke and jive and get these rappers and these basketball players and football players to endorse us publicly. And that's how we can get them onto our side. And that strategy might be, we might be able to employ that strategy more effectively if our inclination that a lot of people are frustrated, fed up, and upset with the way things are going proves to be true. And I think that they have a lot of reason to believe that that is, in fact, what is happening, whether people care to admit it publicly or not. Because there's a lot of bullying that goes on when it comes to this politics stuff. You have a lot of people from our community who, even if they want to go another route or try something different, they'll never say it publicly because they'll just get shamed, because you just can't be black and do things Republican or conservative. Then you're just kind of a traitor. So a lot of us just will never say it publicly as a result. But privately, are a lot of us thinking about this? I'm inclined to believe yes. And it just so happens that the other side is being headed up by this guy, by this flamethrower, by the orange man, who, again, I will reiterate, I don't exactly know how smart he is, but I think he is able to take advantage of a growing sentiment amongst a lot of people in this country who thinks that a lot of the stuff that is going on is insane. So I do think, like you, that it is pandering. Um, it is placating. It is posturing. It is completely contrived, but it's also effective and it works because so many of us don't have the capacity to think for ourselves, unfortunately. And if there are a lot of us who are saying, I don't like the way that this is going, maybe I want to try something new. If there are enough of us who are starting to feel that way, and I'm inclined to think that there are, then I think that this is something that could very well work to his benefit.
Yeah. And me personally, I think the whole thing is a racket. I feel like these people get selected, not elected. So I personally, whoever goes into office, kind of like what The Rock said, is hey man, it's whatever. I'm neutral to it. So here's my thing. One of the better things that people can do, one of the things that's stronger than your vote is your money. And you vote every single day. You vote when you go to the gas station, you vote when you go to the grocery store. And every day you're making your selection. So I would tell people that get so up in arms about presidential situations to look at their everyday interactions and see what they're actually voting for. And I say all that stuff to say is that if we really want to see a change, we're going to have to do it economically. And it has to be voting with our dollars. Honestly, man, the food right now is wrecking everybody. Everybody's having digestive issues right now. When I say everybody, I say loosely, but there's a lot more people having digestive issues than ever before, I would argue. And I would say that that's due to the food in the stores that everybody knows is very low quality. All right. So, but there's things that we can do to take action on things like that, and the things that matter. I'm not saying state and local stuff don't matter, but it'd be a lot of stuff out of our hands. I done voted, yes on proposition whatever before, and what the hell did that do? But if I say no to this particular franchise that does XYZ, and everybody else says no, I think they're going to feel that. So I think what people need to do is stop playing around with these politicians who's clearly playing around with you. And that's the part about this that I think's hilarious. That's why I said in the first segment that this stuff is funny to me, because there's going to be people who really attend this concert and get swayed, and they're going to vote, and they're going to vote, and they're going to think that they did something. And what I'm here to tell them right now is they didn't do a damn thing, because they still went to that same gas station and voted. They still went to that same supermarket and voted. So what you just told these people is that you want more of this. And if anything, if anybody's paying attention, corporations have a lot larger say than our local politicians do. So if we make these corporations feel it, then maybe they'll do something politically, in our favor, if you will. But we have to vote at the grocery store and everywhere else, and maybe we will start to see some changes. But if these people out here, left or right, they're all using us. Jay Z and whoever else, P Diddy Puffs with the Democrats and Harlem shaking on stage, telling people to vote or die, you know, and all this other rigmarole, and nothing changed, you know. So what difference would it make with these characters playing this game? So yeah, just be mindful, guys. And if you do really think that voting for presidential candidates you're gonna vote anyway. But I'm also here to tell you that you vote with your dollars too. So be a little bit more mindful with that, and maybe you'll start to see more immediate changes.
Yep. And yeah, just we say this all the time, but people really need to learn the value and the importance of thinking for, like, if you do your own independent research and you connect certain dots and you genuinely feel like something doesn't make sense, go with that. Don't let the masses convince you that you have to be doing certain things a certain way because of what your background is. If something doesn't make sense to you, then go with your gut on that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whatever that means, however you, because I don't care where you, I don't, this isn't a political topic really.
Right,
This
right.
is a think for yourself, understand how to not be swayed by foolishness topic.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Don't just because you like Taylor Swift and Beyonce, don't vote for the same person they tell you to vote for. Especially if you do research, especially if you do research and you understand that a lot of what this person is talking about doesn't make sense and doesn't add up.
Yeah.
But these individuals really do look at you like numbers on a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look at you as human beings. They look at you as numbers on a spreadsheet. It's casting a wide net. It's the funnel approach. What is something that we can do to get most of these people to be socially conditioned to believe that we are right for them? And that's how they appeal to your sensibilities with musicians and rappers and basketball players and football players. Don't believe that hype. Do your own research, and if stuff doesn't make sense, don't go with it. Even if your parents are telling you you're supposed to because of who you are or where you come from, if it doesn't make sense, don't go for it. Even if your spouse is telling you you need to do it because your background and where you come from, don't go for it. Even if you're, I don't give a damn. No, I'm serious. I don't give a damn. If they respect you, they'll respect you. Oh well, it is what it is. Even if you got siblings or family members telling you you're supposed to do something because your background, if it don't make sense and it don't add up, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And do not let these minstrel show rappers tell you you're supposed to vote one way or the other. Do what you think makes the most sense based upon the independent research that you've done. And I agree with you 100%. Money, economics moves all of this. This is capitalism.
Mm-hmm.
We are not in a socialist nation, except for some of the social policies. We are. But if we're talking about what makes this country move, it's about the finances, it's about the GDP, it's about the economics. Mm-hmm. If you take your money elsewhere, they will feel that. Yeah. It's why I never bought into Colin Kaepernick's stance, and I never bought into people complaining about the Atlanta Braves or the Cleveland Indians or the Washington Redskins. If you really have a problem with this stuff, don't go to the game. Correct. If you don't go to the game, if you don't buy the tickets, if you don't buy the jerseys, if you don't buy the stuff, they'll be forced to do whatever you want. They'll be forced to. But a lot of people don't understand that, and they think that they can, as you intimated, spend their money frivolously or not necessarily understand the importance of where they're putting their purchasing power, but fill out a bubble on a piece of paper and think that that's going to make all the difference in the world. And these individuals count on that kind of, small-minded thinking. So just keep that kind of stuff in mind, man. You can impact these things in ways that you would like to, beyond how you fill out a ballot sheet. But you do have to be an independent thinker, in my opinion. It does take being an independent thinker. If you're a group thinker, they're just going to catch you in their net. They're going to catch you in their funnel.
Mm-hmm. 108. I want to see this lineup, man. So I'm looking at Meek, Lil Uzi. Who
Meek
else?
ain't gonna be Meek ain't gonna be there.
Why not?
Meek has been too on that criminal justice reform stuff. He's been
Yeah.
too and he ain't gonna be there. He ain't gonna be there.
Well,
Uh
surely Lil Uzi's gonna be there
sure.
with his
Yeah, maybe.
purse. What's that? A Hermes? What that is? What that is? Hey
Bro.
man, it's a wild game, bro. But that lineup's gonna be hilarious. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. Bro.
Yeah, we will definitely talk about it here, that's for sure. Shouts out to Orange Man.
Yeah.
Okay, Doja Cat is a friend of the channel. I think it's official.
Yeah, she is.
I think it's official. She's a
She
friend of
made
the
it.
channel.
Yeah, she made it.
And she has a message for parents who bring their children to her shows.
Uh-oh.
And her message is, my music ain't for kids. Leave your kids at home. Don't bring your kids to my show. So,
Oh.
you know, her being the outspoken person on social media that she is, even though every other week she complains about social media and how toxic it is. So she likes to have it both ways. But in this instance, she is saying, leave your kids at home because my music isn't for children. So this says Doja Cat slams parents who bring kids to her shows. Don't make music for children. Doja Cat is getting into it with parents. On Friday, April 26th, the Say So performer, 28, made it clear that her explicit lyrics aren't appropriate for children and she doesn't want them at her shows. I don't know what the F you think this is, but I don't make music for children, so leave your kids at home, mother effer, Doja wrote on X
Whoa.
without sharing what prompted her to voice her thoughts on the matter. She then addressed how the raunchy nature of her lyrics isn't appropriate for kids to hear. I'm rapping about, see, why are you bringing your offspring to my show? Doja Cat added to
Whoa.
the platform. So there's the post there for yourself. I'm not going to use the word because I don't want YouTube to deprioritize this video.
Uh,
The AI machine learning at Google works, folks. It is a real thing. So there is what she said here. I'm rapping about male excrement. Why are you bringing your offspring to my show? She then took things a step further and referred to children as a mistake. Rapping about eating male reproductive organs and pissing on his V cut. Leave your mistake at home. Doja tweeted. After debuting at Coachella in 2022, Doja recently returned to the music festival to perform as a headliner for the first time on Sunday, April 14th, and then again on Sunday, April 21st. The Paint the Town Red artist also became the second Black female artist to headline the festival since Beyonce in 2018. Doja released her most recent album, Scarlet, on Kimosabi and RCA Records in September 2023, which she confirmed was on its way with a now deleted post on Instagram revealing the title of her record. So, yeah, there you go. That's pretty much the gist of it. So she referred to children as the mistake of their parents. She says that she raps about raunchy stuff. She raps about male excrements and male reproductive organs and all kind of stuff. And her music isn't for kids. The kids need to be left at home. She don't know what this is. Parents need to stop bringing them. So I'm assuming she had to go on this kind of tirade because she has seen at her show parents bring their kids there. I'm assuming that that's what incited this for her. That would only make logical sense. Not that logic matters for much these days, but you get what I'm saying. So what do you make of Doja's rant there? You think she has a point that parents need to leave their children, at home and not bring them to her show?
yes, she has a point, but there's also hypocrisy in this. So you can't control your fans, but you can control what you say on the songs. And you are making a choice to say these things. Now, you can say this was made with the intent to be for adults. Well, when you just throw it out there in the world, anybody can consume it. So it's hypocritical to say that, oh, you can't have kids to come to my show when you know there's kids clearly listening to it at home. So if she was so self-righteous to the point to where she actually cares about the ears of minors, then she would be more conscientious when she made the record in the first place. So to me, it's more hypocritical than anything. The kid showing up at her show is a reflection. She's pissed about it, but it's a reflection of you knowing how raunchy and inappropriate this is to begin with. And those kids are sitting there reminding you that you shouldn't be talking like that. So her outbreak or her outlash to whoever's doing this, is more or less a frustration that she has with herself than she would have with the parents who's actually, allowing their kids to listen to it so much so to come to a show. So to me, I agree on one level, that one level of, what, the parents should be knowing better than to bring the kids to the show. But she's the one who created this gateway and this portal in the first place for people to step into. So I give her more of the blame than the actual parents. Although those tweets were hella funny. What are your thoughts, man, on Miss Doja, friend of the channel, slamming her fans who bring their kids to the show?
I agree with your point. I think that that's a point well taken. However, I disagree with the idea that she would ever be conscientious enough to look at it that way, because she does not have she lacks accountability.
Of course,
she doesn't have it. So when you are an individual who lacks accountability, you're not going to compartmentalize it that way. You're going to look at it and you're going to say, I get to make whatever I want and say whatever I want, and you should be responsible enough to know that you're not supposed to listen to this as a child.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, but that's what people who don't understand accountability do. They shirk responsibility and they project their short-mindedness onto the rest of the world as if it's a world problem and not a personal problem. Mm-hmm. And this isn't the first time she's done this. Remember when we talked about how she was at a show and she, she uses the N-word in her music too. Yeah. And she's telling the white people in the crowd not to say it.
Right.
Okay, well, it's the same thing. Like, is there a disclaimer in your music that says white people aren't allowed to listen?
Right.
Like, unless there is a disclaimer in your music, like that parental advisory tag, very well placed on that graphic, by the way. But unless along with that tag, someone can read something, because no one buys physical media anymore. Right. So unless I can, scroll up, because on Spotify, Spotify is the thing that I use. So on Spotify, depending on who the artist is, you can scroll up on the song and there's more information. They'll give you the lyrics and song credits and production credits and background information and all of that stuff. So unless I can scroll up on my Spotify and there's a note which says my music is not for children, you really don't have a leg to stand on with these kinds of comments. Like, I hear what you're saying, but I have very low expectations that she is going to understand the gravity of those comments and the place that they deserve to have when it comes to how she feels about this. If you don't want your music to be for children, then make it very clear that the music is not for children. Now, how do you do that? I don't know, because we've talked about this before. This music is largely consumed by kids.
Right.
So I don't know who you think is listening to this stuff, but the music is largely for children these days. I mean, the music is made for kids, I would say. Now, unless she means like nobody under the age of 18, maybe that's what she means. But you can't listen. Spotify doesn't have an age restriction for use. I don't know if there are parental advisory settings in Spotify like there are with like Netflix or like if you have a Netflix account, you can create accounts within your account that only your children can access, which limits them from being able to watch certain things. Like they can't watch TV, MA, and all of that kind of stuff. As far as I know, Spotify, Apple Music, as far as I know, these things do not have such a functionality. So there's no way for an individual to police whether their kid who has a Spotify account is going to be listening to Doja Cat songs if
Right.
they are under whatever age you think is appropriate for them to be listening to the music.
Right.
So, this is like more of this is righteous indignation to me. This is her spouting off about how she thinks the world ought to be. She's doing more, no accountability. Let me try and reinvent the world in my design. This is the world according to Doja Cat. And in the world, according to Doja Cat, I get to say whatever I want in my music, do whatever I want in my music, gyrate however I want in my live shows, do whatever. It's a fair market, free use type of platform. I'm putting this music out there at nauseum, unlimited, and there's no safeguards on who can consume it. And so, despite that reality, I still get to be self righteous enough to say, leave your kids at home and don't bring them to my show. I don't know who she thinks is listening to this stuff, but as far as I'm concerned, the people who she says shouldn't be at the show are the majority of the people who listen to her songs. So maybe she needs a reality check. A more comprehensive understanding of of the types of demographics that most often consume her genre of music and her music specifically, and maybe that can better inform her on the types of rants and stances that she needs to go on in terms of who is and is not allowed to attend her shows and listen to her stuff.
Or she should just treat it like the club. And when they're selling tickets online or at the whatever venue, I don't know if people buy raw tickets no more. But if they sitting there buying a ticket, there should be some stuff on there. It's like, hey, are you 18 years or older? Or
Correct.
if her threshold is 16 or something, are you whatever your threshold is, that's what it is. And then when they show up to the gate, they got to show ID
Correct.
if that's how you really feel. But I'm
Yes.
telling you right now, she's missing out on some tens of thousands by doing that.
Correct.
So I think she just best keeping her mouth shut. These aren't the first kids that came to her show, won't be the last. I don't know what made her want to fix her mouth out and say that. Probably, for she probably did have enough. She probably does feel like her show's inappropriate for children. I've seen some pictures of her show. She gets damn near naked. And I'm sure there's gyrating going with that. So, I think it's a bit of a burlesque kind of show she puts on. So, yeah, it probably is not appropriate for, a teenage girl or a teenage boy, but I'm sure, she's used to seeing that in the audience too. And like you said, I think they represent a large part of her fan base, you know. So, don't alienate them like this. It is what it is. You placate to these people, and they love it. So, don't call these people out, at least like this. Just like I said, just have a firm stance on this and be like, hey, y'all, going forward, my shows are going to be for adults only, starting, if that's how you really feel. But to me, this is just more of her, with her Twitter fingers. And
Yes.
she just let her rant, and she just let her be controversial. This is part of her whole angle. I ain't gonna lie, that was funny. I didn't know she was that funny. I might listen to more of her antics, not her music, because I didn't know she was funny like that. If she talks like how she just tweeted that, I'm like, hey man, she can make me laugh a little bit, which is probably why her fans felt like they can play with her pubic leg hair.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They think it's
Yeah.
an open door with this woman. And so
Yes. Yeah.
she's so I don't know if she's confusing her fans, like they all got her messed up, or she's sending mixed signals. I think she's sending mixed signals. And so when it actually comes to her in her face, she's shocked and astonished. It's like, no, listen, you're doing too much rigmarole where nobody can actually figure out who you are. So when they actually show you aspects of yourself that you're showing to everybody online, you don't like it. It's like, nah, man, you're gonna have to tighten up and own some of this. Like you said, have some accountability. So
Yeah.
just treat it like a nightclub thing and age restrict people if you don't want them to bring minors to your show. But I'm telling you right now, somebody else heard this and said, "To hell with it." I'm bringing my 15-year-old to the show. Can't
Yeah.
stop it.
You're 100% right. Um, if you really feel that strongly about this, then just make your shows age restriction. because you can do that.
Yeah.
Make your show no admission allowed if you're under the age of whatever age you think is appropriate for someone to start going to your shows. Just make it to where you cannot go unless you're above that age or at that age at least. And yeah, ID check and all of that. And if you don't fit the bill, you can't get in. But she
Mhm.
won't do that because it compromises her earnings.
Yeah.
And this is where these people try to have it both ways.
Right.
Like in order to sort of, strike a balance, right? So it's like, don't show me how the sausage is made, just show me the sausage.
Mhm.
Like she wants to make her money and she wants to maximize her gains, but she also wants to be righteous. So
Right.
she tries to strike enough of a balance by talking like this on the internet so that people can know that she's righteous. But at the end of the day, she's not going to allow her righteousness to compromise her potential earnings. Like it's just not going to happen. And for me, it's like I hear what you're saying, but I would have more respect for you if you were really about that life and you just said, you know what, you can't come in here unless you're of a certain age. But she won't do that.
No.
But I will say that the sentiment of what she is saying, I can somewhat appreciate
Yeah.
because I do think we are at a time where, like, I think we're at a time where, like, the fabric of humanity is dictating that parents need to no longer parent their children and just let kids do whatever they want. Just pick, choose whatever sex you want to be, choose whatever gender you want to be, and like my parental like participation in that should be non-existent. Like I should just step away as a parent and just let my kid raise themselves, right? Like there's a
Basically, yeah.
lot of that going on. There's a
Mhm.
lot of that going on where it's like, hey, parents don't need to be parents no more. Just let your
Mhm.
children raise themselves. Get your kid a cell phone at when they're 5, 6 years old. You can already get them a phone and let them be on Instagram and TikTok. They ain't even 10 years old, but they got TikToks and Instagram. Like there's this idea that hands off, let your kids do whatever, let them be them. And these kind of sentiments speak to the antithesis of that. Because as a parent, if you don't want your kid going to a Doja Cat show, you should be able to, as a parent, say you're not allowed to go. Maybe in a couple years, but not now. So I can, on principle, appreciate the words, but of course, the fact that they come from her and she's not actually going to make tangible, practical steps to ensure that that is something that does not go on at her shows in actuality does make me roll my eyes at her a little bit. But I'm not surprised because she is one of these people who I believe, in my opinion, doesn't understand what accountability means.
Yeah, hey man, hopefully these people listen and don't, bring the kids to the show because yeah, like I said, I done seen pictures and I've heard some of her stuff before,
Well,
and
she be
just
getting
seeing,
down.
yeah, man,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
get rambunctious with it. So yeah, I don't get it. So yeah, like I said, I don't disagree with her, but it comes off as hypocritical.
yeah, yeah. I can hear that. Yeah. One of these days, one of these people is going to actually stand on business and do what they say.
Right.
Because
One of these days.
you brought up a very good point, and that's a very easy measure to implement. Just make your show's age restriction, and it's a
That's it.
rule.
That's it.
Solves it right there. That'll kill all that noise.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Stephen A. Smith is being called out for snitching, apparently, because one a day after was I think this was a day after. I gotta check
Mm-hmm.
myself on the dates, but Russell Westbrook was ejected uh, during a game against the Mavericks because he committed like a flagrant two. No, not a flagrant two, but he was pushing and shoving. First, he like fouled Luca. Luca didn't appreciate the foul. PJ Washington got involved. PJ Washington, funny. PJ Washington, PJ Washington got involved. Defending his teammate. Westbrook pushed him, and things got touchy, and Westbrook got ejected. Westbrook is a fiery guy, and during a subsequent episode of First Take, Stephen A. Smith said he called the NBA league office to inquire as to why Russell Westbrook wasn't suspended because of how, in his eyes, egregious the offense that he committed was. And that caught a lot of people off guard. It caught a lot of people off guard who felt like Stephen A. Smith was just like doing the most. Like, why you gotta call the league office to try and get this guy suspended? So, this was an interesting piece of content. This says Stephen A. Smith, accused of snitching on Russell Westbrook, wanted him suspended for inexcusable behavior. Stephen A. Smith says he was so appalled by Russell Westbrook's behavior during Game 3 between the Dallas Mavericks and Los Angeles Clippers that he called the NBA's league office to figure out why he wasn't suspended. Appearing on ESPN on Sunday to discuss the series, Smith revealed that he found Westbrook's actions inexcusable. The star guard got into an altercation with Luka Doncic and PJ Washington and was ejected. With Westbrook returning to the floor, the Clippers ended up taking Game 4 on Sunday by a score of 116-111. I called the league office and I said, I need an explanation. Tell me why Russell Westbrook wasn't suspended, Smith said. Inexcusable behavior. That's what I saw. And I don't know why this isn't being talked about enough. To be quite honest with you, I was of the mindset that Russell Westbrook deserved to be suspended for today's game. That's how appalling his game was. After the segment, many fans on social media accused Smith of snitching with his decision to call the league office. Among those to do so included Gilly the Kid, who shared a video of himself reacting to Smith's admission on Instagram. Metro Boomin, Kendrick Perkins, as well as Damian Lillard, and more celebrities commented on the post. Smith eventually addressed the backlash in a tweet on Sunday night. He wrote, I said it and I damn sure meant it because of his play on Friday. Knowing the league office would have normally suspended anyone for this, I called to ask why this was different. They explained and I get it. For those tripping that I called the league, it's my damn job, all of us. I don't know what he means by all of us, but so I'm not going to play the video of Gilly the Kid. You can click on that for yourself. So yeah. Some people felt like Stephen A. Smith was doing a bit too much there. Like, why you got to call the league office? He got kicked out of the game. It's a playoff game. It's a high leverage situation. Why do you have to inquire as to whether he should have been suspended or not? So do you agree with the critics? You feel like Stephen A. was doing a little bit too much there?
Yeah, I think he was a little bit out of bounds on that. Even if he did do that, to even just air it out on air like that is just, to me, it was just in poor taste, all of it. And I don't understand what Stephen A. has against Westbrook, or the media has against Westbrook. I don't know what he's done. I don't know if he's like abrasive in the locker room. He's got a rep or something, but this guy can't live for nothing. Now, I've heard Stephen A. give Westbrook praise before, but I've also heard him just absolutely slander him before too.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of I guess it's fairly recent, where Stephen A. was talking about him and Kyrie, and I think he stepped up to Kyrie or whatever, and I think Stephen A. was like, "Hey man, I just wanted to apologize for whoop de whoop." I guess I think that was what it was. But Kyrie said, "Hey, I don't think your beef is with me. I think it's with my father." So apparently Stephen A. had something going on with Kyrie's dad, which is why Stephen A. had venom in his heart whenever he spoke about Kyrie. So much like how Jalen Rose not Jalen Rose, it was Jay Will was getting at Stephen A. back in the day a couple years ago, when he was like, "Hey man, you make stuff too personal with people. Like you get at people too much." And for this felt like one of Stephen A.'s personal digs. Again, I don't know what it is about Russ where he's got to get so much slander, but he seems to be an easy media target. We saw Draymond act an absolute ass all season long. Some of those he didn't even get suspended. Some of those games he didn't even get ejected. Especially the one he did with Patty Mills. He got a common foul on that. I didn't hear Stephen A. getting on air talking about some league office. There's compilations right now of Joel Embiid just absolutely eradicating Knicks players, hitting them in the nuts, grabbing legs, doing
In
all
midair while they're in the air. Yeah.
hurting
Yeah.
people, common fouls, no calls. I'm not hearing you call the league office to launch an investigation on Joel Embiid. So why Russell Westbrook? So for my whole thing is, I don't know what they got against him, but to me it was a sucker play. If he was playing this down the middle all season long, all career long, I wouldn't have called him out on this. But to me, this seems a bit personal. Why? I don't know. But he needs to fall back, is my whole thing. And once the league gave him the rundown, hey man, it was a flagrant. We call it flagrant. It was technicals, whatever. He got ejected. Whoopie whoop. It's what you saw. And then he want to get back on air talking about something. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Well, it didn't
Yeah,
make sense before you called.
but he didn't explain it though.
Well, he
But
saw.
go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. He saw what they explained to him, and now he's going, okay, well, they did their due diligence. Yeah. Well, that's what they did. So my whole thing is that to me, this was just bogus. This was typical Stephen A behavior, just throwing players under the bus and having vendettas against people, it feels like. So what are your thoughts, man, on Stephen A snitch going wild on Russell Westbrook?
I like that. Stephen A snitch.
Yeah.
That's good. Very good. Very good. I like that. So he said he called the league office to ask why he wasn't suspended. And then he said the league office explained it to him and he gets it. So what I think he had an obligation to do at that point was to get onto TV again whenever he was next on TV, First Take, whenever, to explain what they clarified to him. He had a responsibility, in my opinion, to do that. Like, explain what the league clarified to you so that people cannot think that this was a personal thing for you. Because if it's all because he said, if you look at those comments, right? So, pulling up this tab to read this again. I'm not going to share it, but he said, for those tripping that I call the league, it's my damn job. All of us. Okay, so if it's your job, right? If it's your job, so he's speaking from the capacity of being someone who's a media person, a journalist, a reporter. So if it's your job, then it's also your job to report on what they told you. If the reason why you called them was for said clarification, which is what he said. He said, I called to have them explain to me why he wasn't suspended because that's my job. All right, so if it's your job, it is therefore also your job to explain what they told you because you're then reporting the news. Do you understand? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
So the fact that he didn't do that, though, is what's most problematic for me because without him doing that, it makes it seem as though he's trying to be master power broker Stephen A. Smith, one of the most powerful people in the media, voices guy, who thinks that he can just, rattle a few cages and call the league office and get responses because of how powerful he is. And that's what rubs this the wrong way for me, because people like him really do feel like, and I don't want to take anything away from his career because he worked at it. I don't like getting into stuff like that because to me, he worked for a journalist. He worked as a journalist for over 20 years. He put in the work. He wasn't one of these microwave people who came up and now they're just able to reap all of these benefits, but they didn't really put work in like that. Like, he was in the trenches. He did his job. He was a journalist for 20 years. He worked his way up. So he's at the point that he is at now. And so I respect the fact that he put the work in. So I don't want to take that away from him necessarily. But there's also this notion with people like him that they're kind of bigger than they actually are in terms of being people who can potentially influence decisions on entire companies and organizations like the NBA. Like, they probably didn't suspend him for a specific reason. If you want to know what that reason is, by all means, call. But if you're going to do it under the pretense that it's about you doing your job, then you also have to do your job and explain what they told you. Because you have to report the news in its full effect.
I get that.
without you doing that, it makes it seem to me as though you were trying to be some power broker, trying to get a better understanding of why the NBA made that decision, so that perhaps maybe sometime in the future you can be a part of the decision to maybe suspend somebody who does the same thing. And you don't deserve to be a part of that. You're not a part of the NBA apparatus. You're a media personality. You're not that powerful, bro. Like, I get it. You're a part of First Take. First Take, by all metrics, is the most watched sports show. So you're a powerful voice when it comes to sports media. You don't work for the NBA. You're not a part of the league office. You don't influence decision and policy on that level. But you going so far as to do this sort of tells me you feel as though perhaps you do have that level of influence.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I don't like about this. And so for me, he could have taken a lot of the air out of that ball by just telling us what the league told him. Report then.
That's
Do
it.
your job and report the rest of the news.
Right.
But he just didn't do it, either because he felt he didn't have to, or because that wasn't his original motivation. Either of those results to me is problematic. You should feel the obligation to do it, and you shouldn't and that shouldn't have been your motivation to be this power broker. But I just look at people like him, and there's others too. He's not the only one. But I just look at people like him. Some of these people in the media who've been doing this for so long, and they have an influential voice in the media, they look at themselves as like sports power brokers. You know, almost like they're lobbyists trying to like lobby for laws and policy and government. And it's like, bro, you're just a gas bag on television at the end of the day. You're not a journalist anymore. You're just a gas bag on TV. You're paid handsomely to give your opinions of sports on TV, but you're not this power broker. But some of these people really do want to be a more active participant in framing some of the legacies and outward perceptions of some of these players. And I don't think they deserve. And I don't think they deserve that much power.
No,
so that's the part. That's the part of it that rubbed me the wrong way. I don't want to take. I respect Stephen A. Smith for his career. I'll say that. I'll speak for myself. I respect where he has gotten to in his career, because I do genuinely believe he put in some work. But that doesn't mean that you become this too big to fail person who's now this sports power broker and you can just maneuver things on the side like that. That part of it I don't like.
Well, just like we talking in the Broner situation, man, you can't stop lame. And I don't care how hard he had to work, he does some lame stuff, and this is lame. And I don't know what it is, but again, you would think as a Knicks fan, he would be complaining about the Mitchell Robinson situation. But there's hits out on certain players. There's certain people you can talk about, and there's certain people that you don't talk about. Like LeBron in post game sitting there just throwing out expletives. You know, just being very unprofessional, rude. You know, it's like, hey, is there going to be a fine for this? In the game last night, some ladies talking trash after LeBron's crying like a baby. A lady talking trash in the front row. LeBron walks up to her. He circles around the court, circles up to her, and then give her a little jab. You know, like and she flinches and he laughs. Yeah, and it's footage of it. And so he's doing that. It's like, hey, is that not a fine? You want to investigate that, Stephen? You gonna call the league office about that? No. So why about Russell in that situation? In most situations, once we see what happened, and then we see if somebody got fined or suspended, you know, we'll find that out from the league. If we don't hear nothing, everybody goes, I guess it wasn't enough. But this guy goes, no, he should have been suspended for at least 8 games. That was his stance. I gotta call in to see what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Like, who are you?
Yeah. And the league officer told me, I said, okay. Now that makes sense. No, that's what you saw on screen. That's what we all saw. They said they handled it. You think the league is just letting stuff go and, oh, we'll get to that in a couple business days? No, they saw it. They assessed it. They didn't suspend him. And, well, why didn't y'all? Well, all the stuff happened in the game. He got the tech. He got this. He got ejected. That was good enough. Nobody got hurt. Your boy Mitchell Robinson got hurt. So what are we doing, Stephen A? So that's my thing with the media. I don't understand. I feel like for certain players, there's hits out on them. And then they send a pit bull out to go get them. and either he got a green light for people he can attack and a no-fly zone. I don't know what it is, dude. It's super weird, but it's media stuff. And I guess only people in those green rooms really know what's going on. But to me, it was just weird behavior. And yeah, he want to play the card of I'm a journalist now. No, you're not. You're a hot take machine. You're not a journalist. You've been left journalism alone. So for you to sit in here like you launching some investigation, like you're going to write some hit piece, stop it. You just wanted some tea for the thing, for first take. So yeah, man, I listen. He got to grind. He be out here working. You know what I'm saying? I mean, ESPN gonna give you 30 jobs. So he out here doing his thing, man. He making his check. So it's not coming from a level of hate. This is just a heavy level of critique of him, being too personal and not professional enough. So yeah, I think this was just too personal and not professional. And if he was being professional, he'd be uniform across the board, always making implications and always letting us know what the league said. But since it's the first time that I've heard this seems personal.
Yeah, I hear you. If it was really about doing a job in journalism, then he would have reported on First Take what the league told him to everybody.
Exactly.
But he didn't close that loop. So it was like less about this being your job journalistically and more about you just trying to be some media power broker.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me. But I'm not surprised because he has grown quite arrogant in his position. He's almost unfireable at this point by ESPN. He would have to do something really egregious. And when you're in that position, the guy just really does believe that he's I'll just say it again. I believe that he thinks he's like a media power broker. That's how he looks at himself. And as a power broker, he has the means to get on the phone and jockey with the league and get answers for stuff and maybe he does think that he can perhaps be a part of influencing decisions, but leave that up to the people who are paid to do it. You just give your opinions on TV like you're a gas bag, no more, no less.
Right. And honestly, and he did it with such confidence that he's done it before. And there's been some times I'm pretty sure that he can probably attest to it, but he would say, yeah, I feel like I had influence on that play. And he probably did. So this is just probably another one of his ways of, let me throw my weight around here a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I agree, man. To me, it's not professional.
I didn't like it. Yeah. We ain't with you on that one, Stephen A. Try again, bro.
Sorry, but dog. Try again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And coming off the aftermath of her Club Shay Shay interview with Shannon Sharp, Amanda Seales had some response words for Gilbert Arenas, who spoke on some of her comments about her dating and relationship history. So there's a lot of content that has come out of Amanda Seales' appearance on Club Shay Shay. Her and Shannon Sharp got into a back and forth about her experiences with racism. They talked about her, dating history, so on. So there's been various things, her beef with Issa Rae. It's been all kinds of stuff that they talked about in that interview. And one of the things that Gilbert Arenas chose to touch on is her single status and how her apparent intelligent hypergamy standards have a lot to do with why she remains to be single, and his opinion that she'll continue to be single because of those preferences. And she, of course, didn't, want to hear that from Gilbert Arenas. She had a response to that, of course. So here's this whole thing, and here's how it breaks down here. So this says Amanda Seales responds to Gilbert Arenas saying she is too smart to date. The fallout from Amanda Seales' Club Shay Shay interview with Shannon Sharp is still coming. Seales made waves last week for her interview where several subjects were talked about with countless reactions from fans. Seales has checked host Shannon Sharp for attempting to downplay her experiences with racism. Sharp's performance in the interview drew criticism from viewers who said Sharp seemed unempathetic to Seales throughout. Seals also took to Instagram to address Sharp, dismissing her claims of having autism. The interview was filled with controversy and content for fans to chew on. Shannon Sharp, seemingly unaffected by the criticism, discussed the interview with Chad Ochocinco and Gilbert Arenas. The trio delved into the relationship issues that Seals had candidly shared in the interview. Arenas, a former basketball player turned podcaster, offered his analysis on Seals' dating life. Seals, not one to shy away from a challenge, responded to Arenas' comments, sparking another round of discussion in the ongoing controversy. Gilbert Arenas said of Amanda Seals not being married, quote, as educated as she is, there's a standard of a man that she's looking for. If they're not on the same education level as her, she's going to look down on him. If they're more educated than her, then they're talking down to her. So these are the type of women that will typically be single because they can't find the equal partner to who they are. Arenas' dating analysis was interesting, but ultimately it was just his personal opinion and not a larger commentary on the psychology of dating and marriage. Amanda Seals responded to the comments on social media saying, "Why is Gilbert Arenas even talking about me? I'm too smart to find a good man. That's not even a thing. That's an unfortunate statement to make," she concluded. "I don't even know what that's trying to say about men. And the truth is, I'm not trying to find a good man. A good man will find me.
No.
I'm talking to somebody right now."
Oh.
Seals is used to being criticized because of her strong will and personality. Overall, Seals' interview on Club Shay Shay seems to have been a confidence booster to the comedian and actor as she responds to all the naysayers. I've seen some of Amanda Seals' comedy. She's not funny to me, but that's just my personal opinion.
Oh
I'm not
man.
going to. I'm not shading her. I just think her comedic style is not my personal cup of tea. I've seen her stand up. Not all that much to write home about. So I think comedian is a bit of an overstatement. But
Oh,
be that as it may, be that as it may. So yeah, how do you where do you see this one? Like, what do you think of what Gil had to say? Do you think that her response made sense? Where do you stand on this?
boy. All right, let me step around these eggshells real quick. All right, so from Gilbert's perspective, let me speak on Gilbert's perspective. So, he doesn't know her, so he doesn't know her. So he's speaking about an archetype of woman. Um, the thing is, where Gil and his world, I'm sure he's come across the intellectual type of woman, and he's been in a situation where she's the woman that he's dealing with. She isn't stimulated by his level of intellect, and so he's probably seen firsthand, a woman, basically going, I gotta spoon feed this to you. Um, and I'm sure he's also been in situations with women who considered themselves intellectual, but he actually got her in the sense of, yeah, I actually know a little bit more than you. And that woman also felt like, well, you trying to play me, what you think, and it's a fight. So he's speaking about an archetype of woman that clearly he's encountered in his life, and he's projecting that, on Amanda, which is the only basis where he can formulate an opinion about this if he just chooses to talk on it. So he's coming from that angle.
Mm-hmm.
So now from Amanda's side is she's coming from the perspective of, hey, well, you don't know me. And how can you say that? So which is also fair. And because I've met women who were very intellectual. They knew their stuff front to back. But I think, it's not a uniform blanket thing. So I've known some very smart professors who are happily married and submissive. And she's a smart woman. She's a college professor. She's teaching doctors. So a well-educated woman doesn't mean she's gonna buck. So I think it's a thing where it's just the mentality of the person with the intellect. So I don't think intellect equals combative. I think combative with education is a combative I think a combative person is just a combative person. So I've seen women with intellect and handle it with class and grace, and I've seen the ones who wield it like a power thing. And yeah, I'm smarter than you. Yeah, I'm smarter than you. Oh, I'm smarter than this guy. I'm smarter than men. You know, it's like, hey man, you got something else going on there where your intellect isn't being used as a tool to help build things up. You're using it as a flex. So and that comes in both male and female. So I just think it's a situation where Gilbert is just speaking from an archetype of a woman that he encountered. He doesn't really know her, so he can't really get to that conclusion. But I can at least understand where Gilbert is coming from. But I don't know Miss Amanda, but I can tell you one thing: she is very animated. She's very opinionated. She can get loud. She can come off abrasive. And when you got all those things working with you, and then somebody says that you're also an intellectual person, or she claims intellect, it's a quick thing to go, see, they're intimidated by my intellect. See, my intellect is what got them shook. And it's like, no, it's not your intellect. It's all these other things I just named. The loudness, the abrasiveness, the unwillingness to, and then, those characteristics is what comes off to people as, whatever. So I think she's a person that if you don't follow her, and by the way, I follow Amanda. I've been following her since like 2015 on Instagram. It's not like I'm on Instagram anymore, but she had good takes on things, a social event, especially that was going on back then. So I get her and I understand her. So Gilbert just sounds like somebody that, I only saw her on that interview. So he's just projecting. So what are your thoughts, man, on Gilbert saying that, Amanda's just the type of intellectual person that could never get along with a man because she challenges too much? Do you agree, sir?
Yeah, I don't think I agree with you with Gilbert. I would imagine that Gilbert has probably at some point in his past um, run into women who underestimated his intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
I get that sense. That's to me. That's kind of where he was. I feel like that's what he was speaking on behalf of, because he's a smart guy. But unfortunately, sometimes people make preconceived notions about certain people based upon what they do for a living or reputation. You know what I'm saying? So, like Gilbert Arenas being an NBA player, in the intellectual world, right, in the educational ivory tower, I don't know that people hold professional athletes into high regard in terms of them being intellectual people. It's kind of like you have to prove it to them. Like, I'm already here, you're a sports player, prove your intelligence to me so that I can believe that you're smart, kind of thing. And so he's probably at one point or another run into people, but more specifically women, who underestimated his own intelligence, and that probably offended him, because it's like, hey, don't judge this book by its cover. I might have played basketball and gotten suspended for bringing guns to the arena,
but I
but
ain't no idiot.
but I'm not an idiot, right? Like, I'm still an intelligent guy who can hold a note. So don't be dismissive towards me in that manner. So I hear where you're coming from. I kind of feel like that was the place that he was speaking from. But with Seals, I'm with you, and it's hard because I don't know. Like, you follow her, I don't. I've just seen a few of her comedy specials, and I've seen a couple of her rants where she's going off on stuff. But for the most part, I don't really know her intimately. But I feel like every time I do see her doing something, she's very direct,
and
very aggressive with how she goes about her business.
Right.
And she seems like the kind of person who, if an individual encounters her like directness as like off-putting, she will sort of internalize that as, oh well, you just don't understand my level of intellect.
Correct.
So you don't understand my level of intellect, therefore it rubs you the wrong way, and now you feel like I'm being abrasive. I'm not abrasive. I'm not aggressive. I just think on a higher plane of existence than you. Like
Right.
she kind of strikes me as I'm the smartest person in the room person. You know what I'm saying? She gives me Joe Budden, Kyrie Irving vibes. Where it's like these people think that
Imagine
if they
all three of them in a room, bro. That's gonna
oh
be
my
crazy.
God, there's not enough oxygen. It ain't enough oxygen. There's not enough oxygen in that room for the three of them. It's not. It'll be a member measuring contest to see who can pee the furthest. And she'll be right there front and center peeing the furthest. But she strikes me as I'm the smartest person in any room I'm in.
Mhm.
Very much like those people. And for them, whenever your style of delivery rubs somebody the wrong way, it isn't that that person is like put off by your directness. It's that they just don't understand your intelligence. So I kind of feel like they're kind of both coming from their own unique perspectives in life and some of the things that they've experienced. Neither one of them is right or wrong. It's more so just an explanation. But I've run into people like that all the time. Like I've run into people who feel some type of way whenever they feel as though their intelligence is being underestimated. And then I've run into others who just want to sort of aggressively shower you with their intelligence because they want to let you know that they think on a higher plane of existence. But the biggest point to me with this, real quick, is um, this idea that intelligence is an attractive quality to seek in a potential mate. I would like to emphasize that real quick. Once again, I don't know Amanda Seals, but apparently she's the type of woman who like gets off on intelligence and intelligent men. We need to kind of talk about that a little more because one thing that I kind of would imagine that both of them don't see eye to eye is some of the things that they value in terms of like who they go after.
Mhm.
Gilbert Arenas coming from the professional athlete world. I would imagine that there's a certain kind of female that he's used to dealing with on a semi-regular basis.
Correct.
And I don't think intelligence is on the list of
No,
qualities that
no,
those
it is not.
women. I don't think that intelligence is on the list of qualities that those women
Hey,
possess.
he wants some brains, but he don't want no intelligence.
Yes, yes. So him speaking on Seals to me kind of doesn't make sense because, bro, you are Mr. NBA player guy. Well, at this point, you're ex NBA player, and you're consorting with the lot lizards, the vampires,
Correct.
the Instagram models, the
Correct.
strippers,
The
the adult
Adrian Broner
film.
girl.
Yes, yes. The adult film actresses, the women who
Yes.
do OnlyFans.
Yes.
Those are the women that you're dealing with. To use your own words, you're dealing with 304s. That's what you're dealing with. So I kind of feel like it's incomprehensible for you to even comment on the motivations of Amanda Seals when it comes to her dating preferences.
Correct.
Because
Yeah, right.
you don't seek out the type of women that value intelligence in a man anyway.
Correct.
So I'm oddly enough more on her side than Gilbert, even though I'm not really anti-Gilbert, really,
Mhm.
but I am more pro Amanda Seals here. Like
Yeah.
she's minding her own business. And if she likes intelligence in a man, then so be it. What's it matter to you? You're not the kind of guy that covets that kind of preference anyway. So what difference does it make? So for
Mhm.
you to even comment on it as if to suggest I know this for a fact because I'm the kind of guy that deals with this. No, you're not. You deal with the kind of dudes, you deal with the kind of women who seek out ball players. Amanda Seals ain't that kind of chick. She's not. So what are you even talking about, bro? But moreover, Seals talking about intelligent men and good men and all this kind of stuff. I hear where she's coming from. I don't know her personally, but based on interviews that I've seen and different things that she's posted, she is someone of that ilk. She does find intelligence to be a highly sought after quality. And I'm going to back that all day, every day. You're never going to hear me downplay that. And
Mhm.
if it just so happens that she hasn't been able to find her person, she says she's talking to somebody right now, good for her. But I think in this current culture where we are devaluing intelligence, especially when it comes to men, it is good to see somebody who says, I'm not one of these lot lizards, as you like to call them, who devalues that kind of quality. And I think
Mhm.
Gilbert Arenas, for all the smarts that he may or may not have, deals with women who do, in fact, devalue intelligence.
Yeah, and the you are right, man. When it comes to the type of women that he deals with, um, he hasn't really dealt with. I can't say that either. I don't know the man, but when we're dealing with those types of women, the fast ones, even if they're smart, there's a lot of immaturity going on there. So he might have dealt with the ones that weren't mature enough to handle such knowledge or information, and they handled it in an immature fashion where they couldn't either be submissive to a man or whatever. And like I said, man, I know college professors, doctors who had
Mm-hmm.
husbands at home and were submissive women.
Yeah.
So the intellect has nothing to do with anything, And I agree with you, man. Just more of the, uh, it's just how she comes off to people who don't know her, and it can be animated. Some days I'm not in the mood for it. You know, I'm just not. I'm trying to
Yeah.
chill today, and
Yeah.
she's on 10 about a topic, and it's like I'm not. I don't feel like right now. It's no knock, and I'm not saying what she's saying is invalid or anything like that. It's just I'm not always in that mood. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but people mistake that, much kind of like what Kevin Samuels. People mistake the delivery, and they go, "Hey, I don't like this delivery, therefore I don't like the message or the messenger."
Correct. Yeah. People for whatever reason can't handle directness.
No, they don't like it.
Um, I've seen it, and I've experienced it firsthand. Not to cut you off, but I've
Mhm.
experienced that firsthand. Like when I used to be a cook,
Mhm.
I had all kinds of people who hated my guts, didn't like me. And it's like, hey, look, man, I'm just a direct person when it comes to doing this job.
Right.
I'm just gonna be direct with you. Like I'm not getting personal, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't know whether it's like people just aren't used to it, but it's like people really can't handle people who communicate directly. It's off-putting to them. It's like they become defensive over it, even though the person's not trying to offend them.
Well, today's modern era is just all about lie to me. Just lie to me. Just make sure that the lie sound good. And everybody want to be lied to. Like right now, if you try to be direct with people, whatever, they'll say, "Oh, you said that. Why you said it like that?" Well, because your breath stank. What I'm supposed to say? Hey, you brush your teeth this morning? Like that roundabout stuff is more offensive to me. So yeah, so my whole thing is, this new age of how people are very sensitive, and so therefore they don't even like directness. Truth, directness. They like, hey man, give me a lie. Make
Mhm.
it sound good and have a lot of fluff around it. And what will end up going on is you'll see this coddling behavior. It creates coddled people who can't take stress. Everybody's
Yeah.
depressed. Don't talk about me like that. You're bullying me. You know what I'm saying? What's
Yeah.
that boy, that cameraman? The cameraman mortified by by Megan and stuff. You need to stop. But everybody's so sensitive right now. So, and that came with politically correct culture and all the other stuff. And right now, people getting told the truth is offensive, as
Yeah.
wild as that is.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
so yeah, we're living in a bizarro world. So yeah, if somebody unmutes and is direct and is giving people stuff the raw, it does come off the wrong way to people. It's like, oh, you should dress it up another way. Maybe I would have liked the message. What?
Yeah.
But and I think that's the dynamic that she's experiencing, which triggers people like Gil and everybody else like that who just dismiss her instead of actually listening to what she got to say. So,
Mhm.
yeah, man, it's some funky stuff, man. But I would disagree with Gil here. I understand where he's coming from, but I think it's short sighted. I don't necessarily agree.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know what he's getting at. I think he's projecting his own shortcomings and insecurities personally. I kind of feel like in a roundabout way he's sort of letting everybody in on his individual psychosis when it comes to the kind of women he deals with. That's
Right.
how I see it.
And
That's how I see
when he
it.
came up against a woman that can think for herself, he couldn't handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think he should just stick to his just stick to the 304s
Yeah,
and
man.
the lot lizards and the rest of those cleat chasers and the women who wait in the hotel lobbies when the bus
Just
show up.
just hit up Adrian, bro. I heard he know where they at, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe he can get you a group rate because from what I hear, it's become very expensive. So,
Right offable.
and lastly, we are going to touch on Diddy Puff, who oddly enough has a person who has come to his defense in Suge Knight, perhaps one of the last people that anybody would think is coming to Diddy Puff's defense.
Seriously.
Suge Knight thinks that it's a bad time for hip hop with these allegations aimed at Diddy Puff. He thinks it's a dark time for hip hop, not a good time that we are dealing with these allegations on the part of Diddy Puff, the Diddler, Puff Daddy, Diddy
Hmm.
Love, all the other monikers, all the other monikers that he chooses to go that he chooses to go by these days. But Suge thinks it makes everybody in he thinks it makes hip hop look bad. He thinks it makes all of hip hop look bad. He thinks that the allegations are just bad for hip hop in general. So, providing a little context here, this says Suge Knight admits Diddy allegations are bad for hip hop. It makes us all look bad. Suge Knight says he was disappointed when he learned of the allegations against his longtime rival Diddy. Speaking with Harvey Levin for TMZ's the downfall of Diddy special on Tubi, the co-founder of Death Row Records explained why he wasn't celebrating when he learned of the lawsuits Rodney, Lil Rod Jones Jr., Cassie, and more filed against the Bad Boy mogul. My first reaction, it's not the reaction I thought I would have when it came to Puffy, Knight said, as noted by Complex. I thought it'd be a reaction like he got what he got coming because everybody know what's been going on. My reaction was actually different because I felt like, damn. The first thing that came to my mind was he has his sons, he has his daughters. My reaction was first about the kids. The thing is, I feel it's a bad day for hip hop, a bad day for the culture because it makes us all look bad. When Harvey Levin appeared surprised about Knight's reaction, he explained he doesn't enjoy watching his enemy's downfall. I'm not the type of guy to cheer for people's downfall, he added. If somebody gets killed or something happens to them, I'm not going to pop champagne bottles. If I have a problem with Puffy, that's for him and I to sit down in a room and to resolve it. So for the tragedy on both sides, to the victims, to him, that's definitely not nothing to cheer about. Check out the trailer for TMZ's The Downfall of Diddy below. Um, Diddy and his legal team have denied any wrongdoing amid the allegations, as well as Homeland Security's raids on his Los Angeles and Miami properties. Diddy has not been charged with any crimes, blah, 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 blah. So, what do you make of Suge?
Uh, I think that yeah, it's not a good look for hip hop. Overall, it just makes the whole industry look like a cesspool, but it makes it look like that way because, well, it is. So, it is embarrassing if you had a stake in it like he did. It just makes everybody look at everybody sideways. So that would make people look at him and his legacy sideways. So of course he's not going to be, in favor for that, even though he's doing time and all this other stuff. Um, there's going to be things written about this in the future, documentaries on it in the future, and it's not a good look legacy wise. But it needed to happen because it was foolishness going on, apparently, allegedly. So since there was all this foolishness going on, it did need to be, in order for the genre to change and go in the right direction. I feel as though there needs to be a certain level of transparency of what was going on in the industry and what types of things were not only allowed but promoted. and that's just behind closed doors when we start to talk about Diddy like behaviors. But we've also talked about before on previous topics about just major labels' influence on the genre and those various things. And these things were going on allegedly with major label things and entities who were aware of this type of behavior. And if it wasn't going on with Diddy, it's going on in other avenues within the music industry. And it does shed a light on the industry that's not very flattering or appealing. And so, yeah, if your name is just being in the industry and having a career, people are going to start looking and say, "Hey, what'd you do for that? You know, are you actually legit? Are you this and that?" So it isn't a good look. Uh, as far as like publicity is concerned, but I do like all of this. I feel like all of this is necessary. It's a necessary cleanse that need to happen within that industry. And I'm pretty sure it's going to continue to have its levels of corruption. But I think that the people knowing or having an inside look on what to look for and what to expect from corruption in the music industry, I think that people needed that lens that this case opened up. So whenever we see, a 43-year-old man hanging around a 13-year-old boy talking about he coming to my flavor camp, I think people are going to start asking questions now. And in the past, people just letting stuff slide. So I think that this is good. It's much needed. I think there needs to be more things that are divulged about this industry and stuff like that. So just the consumers, so they can have a more fighting chance. Because before all of this stuff, and before there was even information about these things even allegedly happening, people were just buying this music hook, line, and sinker. And so at least these types of allegations and this kind of brouhaha would make people that weren't even into this, make them look at it a different way and go, "Hey man, what are you guys really doing? And what are you guys really promoting in your music?" So Suge, yeah, he can have a problem with it, but me, the everyday man, I love this, and I feel like more needs to be exposed, to be honest. So what are your thoughts on Suge Knight feeling like this is a bad look for hip hop? Diddy Puff getting locked up.
Apparently. I don't think it's as bad a look as the music that he was responsible for perpetuating during his heyday. I think that was an even worse look.
Yeah, agreed.
I can talk about how the allegations against Puff are problematic, but these things are more so of an eyesore when it comes to the industry and not necessarily a referendum on the industry as a whole. Um, Look at the stuff that went on in Hollywood with Me Too. Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, and the rest of those creeps. Um, that was like that was an eye-opening thing that exposed a lot of the bad, corrupt stuff that was going on in the film industry. But I don't necessarily look at it as a dark day for the film industry because it continues to thrive. And I mean, no one is really looking at it as like this thing really set the film industry back all those years. I kind of look at these allegations in a similar fashion. Like, it's a bad look for him and it's an eyesore. So I'm not going to be dismissive towards the idea that it's an eyesore. It's a bad look, but I don't know if it's like the dark day, the doom and gloom scenario that he's trying to paint it out to be.
Yeah.
I think it's more so of an eyesore on the industry as opposed to a referendum on the industry overall.
I agree.
However, what I do think is a referendum on the industry as a whole, and it's ironic that it's coming from him, is when you hang people over balconies of hotel rooms threatening death in order for you to get your way. That's a bad look for the industry. When you're threatening physical violence because you want certain songs cleared, or when you're trying to enforce your own brand of label politics by threatening physical violence if things don't go your way, that's worse than what Diddy's got going on, in my opinion. And on top of all of those things, he was at the head of a record label that was popularizing a particular form of music within this genre that made it cool and mainstream to, talk about, putting poison into your own neighborhoods and, willfully committing crimes because it's fun and not because it's your only option, and trying to end the lives of people in those very same neighborhoods that you live in.
Agreed.
These were all themes inherent in a lot of the music that was coming out when Death Row Records was at its peak.
Agreed.
And so I'm not necessarily trying to downplay because it's music. To me, all of this stuff is entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to say that that was the worst thing in the world as well. But those habits and those trends started way back 20, 30 years ago. Those were more of a referendum on the music itself, and how we're at a dark time in the music now because of a lot of what that started. This stuff is just creepy crawly weirdo stuff. If it's found out that this stuff is true, hey man, he'll be dealt with. The law fine, the law will deal with him in whatever way is best suited, all that good stuff. But this music stuff is going to keep on rolling with or without him here. It will. Like this hip hop stuff will continue whether Diddy is here or not. And whether Diddy is here or not, it will continue to popularize murder, death, kill. Not because it's a part of the music that needs to be here, because granted, it is an aspect of the content that is necessary, in my opinion, and I do understand that. But does it need to be popularized to the point where it's the only mainstream version of the content of the music? In my opinion, no. But that's what we got going on. And that trend started with people like him 30 years ago. And that to me has had a greater detrimental effect on hip hop and rap music than whatever the diddler had going on with his freak offs.
Agreed.
So it's a matter of perspective, and it's where you place the point of emphasis. In my opinion, I look at the content of the music and what was popularized going back 20, 30 years with these record labels and people like him, and what he was responsible for perpetuating directly. And I look at people like Diddy Puff and I say, hey, it is what it is. It's ugly, but we see this kind of stuff going on all the time. There's creeps in Hollywood. There's creeps in the tech industry. There's creeps in the financial industry. There's creeps in the real estate industry. When we find the creeps, we need to eradicate the creeps, and I'm all for that. But how big of a deal is it juxtaposed to the real bad stuff, in my opinion, or the real detrimental stuff? To me, it's not as big a deal. And I just look at it that way. And, I hear where he's coming from because he's trying to rehabilitate himself. So I get it. But I think he had a heavier hand to play in the darkness of hip hop compared to whatever Diddy had going on with his freak offs.
Yeah, I think they're both up there, man. I don't know if I want to put him in the Four Horsemen category, but he might have to go up there because he damn sure was an antagonist in the 90s. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and throw him up there because he was up there and he was being a major antagonist. That whole East Coast West Coast thing, I'm not gonna give him sole blame, but he was fanning those flames, and and he was a tyrant, and everybody knew this before all of that stuff. So I didn't care for all the murder gangster stuff coming out of California at the time. I didn't like it. Even as a young person, I felt like it was too aggressive. I didn't know why they were doing that at the time. I didn't get it. And I was like, yeah, I'll kill you. And I was like, I just wanted to dance when I was little, man. I just wanted to dance. And I couldn't dance to that. And I was like, man, they talking about killing people and stuff. Like, what is this? So yeah, he's definitely had a major hand in the garbage that proliferated our genre and influence future generations. So yeah, he's just as guilty. And that's what I said. This ruins his cupcake legacy because what people were going to do is they were going to look back in the past and say, and Suge Knight, one of the biggest street gangsters who ever turned around to be a record label executive. And it's like, now those glorification videos, people are going to look at this whole generation as y'all was some weirdos. And because everybody knows, I ain't gonna say nothing about Suge. Suge always came off a little, you know what I'm saying, strange as a person. So if he participated in his own diddler type of things out there on the West Coast, I wouldn't be surprised either. So I think that this is just an overall, like you said, a black eye for the industry. But I hope it's in the right type of way because now, again, like you mentioned with the Hollywood stuff, people just know that now. You know what I'm saying? And people really know what's going on. And people they're not naive to it anymore. Before it was like, is it up to chance? And it's like, no, there's a casting couch. No, you're going to have to give it up. You're not giving it up. Okay, well, we're not going to see you no more. And so I think people could piece together the stars that made it versus the stars that didn't. And people could start putting some things together. Maybe they didn't sleep with the right person, and that's kind of going to be the thing. And I'm not surprised that it went on in the rap industry, males included. Boy, that boy Meek, I'm gonna throw him in every comment. But hey, some guys give it up for the bag. So yeah, it does put a little stain on it, but I'm here for it, man. And I feel like people need to wake up, and that this was a lot of the people still looked up to a lot of these people. We've been stopped doing that. But there was people that was there was dudes out there that we would call solid that looked up to Diddy before all of this. And then now it's like, damn, man, now he's looking at Diddy differently and looking at the industry differently. And we needed this. So I agree with you. And and I think the streets needed this. But yeah, he needs to get out of here. It's very, very ironic.
Yeah, I would put them in the same boat too. I think that they're both a part of the
garbage.
Yeah, they are a part. They are at the head of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. They both are scourges upon the because they were both tyrannical.
Yes.
They both ran their ships like a plantation, and they were the
Yes.
Calvin Candies respectively on each of their plantations.
Yes.
Running roughshod of talent, and running roughshod of people who just wanted to have a career and do a good job. Threatening people, all kind of stuff like that. So I just kind of feel like, whatever, bro. Yeah, it's a dark day. But those comments were made by you because you're trying to rehabilitate yourself at this point, I feel. Because you have to know that you played a heavy role in a lot of the darkness that we see, going around today. A lot of that stuff started a long time ago when you were in your heyday, man. So I'm here for the exposure too, but you know me, man. I gotta call out these hypocrites whenever I can.
Hey, 100, bro.
No complaint. Yeah, I ain't here with that, man. All right, but on that note, man, we are going to go ahead and close out, man. Another stream in the books. This was great content, great stuff, great topics. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Appreciate the brother Marcus Dudley as always, and appreciate everybody who has joined us along for the ride as we continue to crank out this logical comment. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, because we are here. We are out here. We continue to rock and roll, man. Conscious Approach is on Instagram at Con Approach. CONAPPROACH, and your boy's also there as well. JV Wins, JVWINS. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts as we continue to upload these RSS feeds and go live with the audio files, man. We got a lot of content that we are going to be cranking out each and every day, each and every week. So join us, man. It's a lot of good stuff, man. We have a blast doing this. Thank you for joining the tribe. We appreciate everybody who is a part of the community. We'll see you on the next video. But until then, please, 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 people, think for yourself. Don't be a group thinker. Don't go with the wave. Think for yourself. Do your research and let the chips fall where they may. Go Nuggets.
1,000, bro. And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube at Dogon_SS. Also on TikTok, Dogon_SS over there as well. And as I say on every pod, guys, don't be too high. Don't be too low. Keep it calm. Keep it chill. Keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot, man. And like my dog JV Wynn said, boy, have a mind for yourself. And we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Yes, sir, man. Until the next video, we are out of here. Go Heat. Give us one, man. We're going to get one more. I don't care. We're getting one more.
Hey, baby. Heat Nation. Let's go.
That's right. We out, man. We'll see y'all later. Peace.
Hey, yo, shout out Jamal Murray dunking all over that boy helmet. I said, I was in this thing going crazy over here, man.